Hello viewers, my name is Andre Pranata Prayanangin. Today I want to present metallurgy, especially chapter 10 about cast iron. This is the reference that I use for present today. Metallurgy for the non-metallurgist, second edition, edited by Arthur Schroeder. Introduction. Cast iron, like steel, are iron-carbon alloys. The difference is that cast iron typically possesses higher carbon levels than steels, so that cast iron can take advantage of eutenic solidifications in the binary iron-carbon system. Cast iron have a production advantage over steels in that complex shapes can readily be produced without the cost of large-scale machining. Cast irons also compress a large family of different types of iron, depending on how the carbon-rich phase forms during solidifications. 10.1 Basic metallurgy of cast iron. Cast irons are heterogeneous, multi-component ferrous alloys that solidify with a eutectic. For example, when an iron with 2.5% carbon is cooled below the liquidus line, freezing begins first with the formation of austenite dendrites called pro-eutectic austenite. These dendrites grow and new dendrites form as the temperature drops through the freezing range, and the carbon content of the remaining liquid also increases as the newly formed austenite grains eject excess carbon. When the increased carbon content and decreasing temperature reach eutenic values, eutenic solidification occurs at the eutectic temperature of 1154 Celsius for graphite and dashed line, or 1148 Celsius for cemented and solid line. White and gray cast iron. The iron solidifying with an austenite graphite eutenic has a gray fracture surface appearance, while the one solidifying with austenite eutectic exhibits a white fracture surface. Sometimes a mixed structure of gray plus white, termed mold, may occur. Controlling the eutectic reaction. To control the properties of cast iron, it is necessary to control the formations of the carbon-rich phase and the formations of the steel matrix or the eutectoid reaction. Controlling the eutectic reaction means controlling the amount of undercooling that the eutectic liquid undergoes. Typical cast iron compositions. A cast iron can have a compositions that make it hypoeutectic or hypereutectic with regard to carbon. Its positions in this respect is important because it determines not only the initial solidification point, but it also is a factor in whether an iron solidifies with a gray, white, or mold eutectic. 10.2 Classifications of cast irons. The historical classifications of gray and white cast irons based on fracture appearance still applies today. Cast irons are also classified as either common or special cast iron. Common cast irons are for general purpose applications and are unalloy or low alloy compositions. Special cast irons as the name implies, are for special purpose applications. As we can see, there are types of cast iron, from gray iron, white iron, chill cast iron, malleable iron, ductile iron, and nodular cast iron. 10.3 Gray cast iron. Gray cast iron is the most common form of cast iron and is characterized by a microstructure with flake or lamellar graphite embedded in a steel matrix. Gray irons comprise a range of hypoelectric and hyperelectric compositions. Graphite shapes in gray or flake graphite irons. Standards have been used for many years in the evaluations of graphite size and shape in gray irons. In ASTM A247, for example, the flake graphite in gray cast iron is described by the following types. Type A, uniform distributions, random orientations. Type B, roseate grouping, random orientations. Type C, superimposed flake size, random orientations. Type D, interdendritic segregations, random orientations. Type E, interdendritic segregations, preferred orientations. And type F, Windman-Stanton graphite. Properties of gray cast iron. Gray irons have relatively low strength and hardness properties. The tensile strength of gray iron ranges from only approximately 150 to 430 megapascal. Gray cast irons are also brittle due to the inherent notch effect of the flake graphite. 10.4 Ductile iron. Ductile iron, also known as nodular iron or spheroidal graphite iron, is very similar to gray iron in compositions, but during solidification, the graphite nucleates as spherical particles in ductile iron rather than as flakes. This is accomplished through the addition of a very small amount of magnesium and cerium to the molten iron. Casting of ductile irons. Ductile irons, second only to gray iron in the amount of casting produced, account for over a third of all castings, ferrous and non-ferrous. Ductile iron has the advantage in common with gray iron of excellent fluidity, but it requires more care to ensure sound casting and to avoid hard edge and carbides in thin sections, and it usually has a lower casting yield than gray iron. Heat treatment and mechanical properties of ductile iron. Many ductile iron products are used in the as-cast condition, but in some foundries, approximately 50% of the products are heat-treated before being shipped. Annealing is mandatory for some grades of ductile iron, and several types of annealing can be. Aus-tempered ductile iron or ADI. Austern pure ductile iron represents a range of cast iron whose properties depend on a heat treatment called aus-tempering. As-tempered ductile irons, or ADI, have a matrix with much higher ductility for the same strength than conventionally heat-treated ductile irons. Fatigue and fracture resistance of ductile irons. The shape of gravity in cast iron has an effect on fracture toughness and fatigue resistance. Because the gravity can act as an internal notch or stress riser in the iron. In gray iron, flake gravity increases stress concentrations and lowers toughness and fatigue strength relative to that of irons that have more spheroidal or compact gravity forms. 10.5 Malleable iron. The history of malleable iron goes back to Europe. The French scientist and metallurgist R.A.F. de Réaumur published the first technical discussions of malleable iron casting around 1720 to 1722. In America, malleable irons was introduced by Seth Boyden, who knew of the white hard malleable iron of Europe and foresaw a potential market for such a material. He started a series of experiments to find out how to produce malleable iron. The fracture of his specimens, black and gray, or black hard, due to the presence of free carbon after the heat treatment process. In 1831, he was granted the first American patent for malleable iron. Subsequently, the production of casting began in his foundry in Newark, NJ. 10.1 Compact Gravity Iron. Compact gravity iron are the newest member of the cast iron family to be developed as a distinct category. Compact or vermicular gravity irons have inadvertently been produced in the past as a result of insufficient magnesium or cerium levels in melts intended to produce a spheroidal gravity ductile irons. However, it has only been since 1965 the compact iron has occupied its place in the cast iron family as a material with distinct properties requiring distinct manufacturing technologies. The application of compact gravity irons stem from their intermediate compositions between gray and ductile irons compared to flake gravity irons or compact gravity irons have certain advantages. Higher tensile strength at the same carbon equivalent, which reduces the need for expensive alloying elements such as nickel, chromium, copper, and molybdenum. Much ductility and toughness, which result in a higher safety margins against fracture. Lower oxidation and growth at high temperature, and less section sensitivity for heavy sections. Compared to ductile iron, the advantages of compact gravity irons are lower coefficients of thermal expansions, higher thermal conductivity, better resistance to thermal shock, higher damping capacity, better castability leading to higher casting yield and the capability for pouring more in tri-cat castings and improve machinability. 10.7 Special cast iron. Special cast iron are typically high-alloy irons which can also be classified as either white or graphite irons. In gray and ductile irons, small amounts of alloying elements such as chromium, molybdenum, or nickel are used primarily to achieve high strength or to ensure the attainment of a specific minimum strength in heavy sections. Otherwise, alloying elements are used almost exclusively to enhance resistance to abrasive wear or chemical corrosions or to extend surface life at elevated temperature. That's all from me to present chapter 10 about cast iron. Thank you very much.